So, hello everyone. Welcome to my very thoughtful world. As you guys know, I work super hard to bring you all powerful women who are doing positive things and owning their own business. And the reason I want to do that is because I think all of us have something inside of us, a dream, a desire to do something that is especially ours. And so I want to use this platform to encourage you to know that you can do it too if other women are doing it. So tonight my special guest is Malisha.
How you doing?
How are you? So tell everyone who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, I am Malisha Mitchell, and I am the CEO, founder, co-founder of MTM Professional Services, based out of Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Okay.
We specialize in sort of like a boutique style business to business consulting. We help businesses get set up from the beginning. Help them register their business. We're a registered agent. Um, we help them also establish business credit if that's something they're interested in doing.
That's good.
I'm making sure they're set up for funding properly. We also, if they have personal credit issues, we help them as well. And then my daughter has a virtual assistant business, so we're kind of like a small boutique, and we offer a variety of services to help the small businesses and entrepreneurs kind of excel and succeed in their business ventures.
I love it. So how did you get into this?
So it's kind of funny because this wasn't something that I saw myself doing at all. I've been in the compliance space. I work for a local plant as the FTZ analyst, and what that is that we work with the U.S. Customs to make sure that the company pays their duties. And they're in compliance with US trade regulations. So
Mhm.
I've been in the compliance space for like 20 years. And so but my passion had turned out to be credit. I liked working with numbers, and that was my thing. And I worked in the credit repair space, started my own business in the credit repair space. Um and I don't know, want to say I lost my passion for that particular part, but it was hard. It's a hard business, and I still do it. It's a hard business. Um and so during COVID, um I had started a business for a friend, and they told their friend, and they were always coming to me asking me questions, and I am trying to work my 9 to 5 from home, trying to run my credit repair business, and I'm being bombarded with business questions all the time, helping them stay compliant in their business space. Um, and all I was doing was researching. I would call the North Carolina Secretary of State and ask questions.
Mhm.
And I would the small business centers, and I was very forward in asking questions because I wanted to know the answers to make sure that I was running my business compliantly. And so my friends trusted me to make sure they were running their businesses compliantly. And so I just kind of fell into that space. And so what once was a supplemental business for my credit repair business, it became the reverse. I
Mhm.
started doing more business like setups and being a registered agent for businesses than I was doing credit repair. And more people wanted to come see me because they were sending trying to register their businesses with online companies, but they weren't able to communicate with them face to face or talk with them and ask them questions without a long drawn out process. So they want the face to face feel. So I told my daughter, I said, well, let's find a space.
Okay.
And so we found a building, and that's how MTM came about.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I love how that kind of organically came together. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't where you started. Did you immediately love it, or did you just kind of go there because you saw that was the direction where you was
I
being?
immediately loved it. The more I researched, the more questions I got answered, the more I wanted to know. Um, and probably it was the compliance side of me. I wanted to, make sure that I knew the next step and the next step and the next step. And so, it just became a more of a passion for me. And so I kind of fell out of love with the credit repair as much, even though I enjoy helping people with that. Um, but the business side became more of my passion. And so, and then I would encourage like all my kids own businesses. So I encourage them to become entrepreneurs and help them, um, get their businesses running and my friends. And so then it became, bigger than what I thought it was going to be. And
Wow.
so, yeah, I enjoy the consulting side of it. Um, I think I'm an idealist. So I always have like all these great ideas. And my daughter is the great implementer. Like
Okay.
she has OCD. So she is, on every detail of it. So between the two of us, it just works.
Wonderful. How many children do you have? Because you said they're all in business.
Three. I have three children, three adult children. They're 29, 27, and 25.
Okay. What kind of businesses are there? And I know you said your daughter worked with you. What about
My
them?
daughter has her own virtual assistant businesses, Queen's Virtual Assistants. She has three people that work for her, and she has probably about 15 clients
Oh, nice.
from various fields. My son has a clothing line um, that he started, and then my oldest son helps my husband with his business. He has a mobile cigar lounge.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Okay. So you guys are just a house full of entrepreneurs, huh?
Yes, yes.
Was that your vision even though you was working that job all those years, or did you just like what made
No,
you go from like I'm gonna work a 9 to 5 or whatever time you was working to like, you know what, I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jump and start my business.
no, no, no. I was raised by my mom who worked all the time. My dad worked all the time. I was just told, you get that job, you work it, you retire. But I think during COVID, it kind of hit different.
Mm,
I think you realize that life was short. You want to do other things besides be at that place that whole time. Um, and I just started to not love that space.
mm,
I wanted to be able to create my own hours a little bit more, be more mobile, um, and also be something that I was really passionate about more than just something I did for a paycheck, you
yeah.
know. So I just felt like, that entrepreneur space was good. And, my kids, they still work jobs. My daughter hasn't worked a 9 to 5 probably in 5 years.
Oh wow,
She
good
worked
for her.
for me. She either worked for me, or either she works for her own business.
It's
So
pretty
she's
awesome.
definitely in that entrepreneur space.
Yeah.
Whereas my sons, they still work their jobs and do their businesses, but she is definitely that entrepreneur spirit, and she's going back to get her MBA in business, um, just in the certain fields that she wants to, niche down to.
Yeah. That's pretty incredible. And I love that you guys have made it a family affair. It's certainly something that wish I could encourage my children to do. My son has kind of like an entrepreneur spirit, like he wants to do it, but wasn't sure the direction. He thought he could go to university and study entrepreneurship, but the school he was in that didn't offer it as a major. But like, so I believe that God is always ordering our steps, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
and as long as you kind of stay in that alignment where you're in alignment with what are your gifts, what are your talents
Mhm.
in that direction. So he majored in economics,
Okay.
and then the summer before his senior year, he landed a research gig with his professor, and it just started opening all these doors for him. And his
Right,
professor said, Bryson, this is how you can open your entrepreneur track. And he was like, Mom, because
right,
I'm always trying to teach them that like God is always in control, even when it seems like it's not and it doesn't make sense.
right, right.
And so tell me how does that play in your world? Like how do you see that moving and happening throughout your business with your family? Any type of story that you could share with the audience where they understand that everything that scripture that says all things are working together for the good.
Yes.
I think I really see that in entrepreneurship. What about you?
Yes, I definitely do. My daughter started out going to law school.
Hmm.
So she graduated from Howard University.
Yeah.
She came back home, went to Central for a year, and she just decided that wasn't what she wanted to do. And I think she thought she was going to disappoint us.
Mm,
She didn't finish because that's what she always said she wanted to do. So she was kind of, I want to say, undecided. After that year, she was just like, I don't know what I want to do. And, it was so unlike her, you
yeah.
know. And so she started working with me in my credit repair space, and she was just so good at it. She was just so good at it. Like she was so organized and she was so thorough with everything that she did. And I was just like, you can help other people, you know, besides just me, you should make this a business of your own. And so she hesitated because I don't know. She says it's her Libra. She hesitated. She had to think it through, but then once she started, she never stopped.
Wow.
She never stopped. And so I always tell her that maybe it wasn't a setback from law school. Maybe it was just, a change in direction. She wasn't meant to do that.
Yeah.
And she just got an opportunity to go to Duke Law School again, and she turned it down to do the MBA portion of it for her business because she still wants to grow her business. So I think that a lot of times we think we know the path that we want to be on initially, but he has a way of changing our minds and and getting us to where we need to be. It's the same thing with me with being with one job for 20 years, and all of a sudden it just changed, and it almost seemed like it was overnight that it did change. um of course it wasn't just overnight, but it felt like it was very overnight. um and how much in love that I fell in with this business that I don't even want to do the 9 to 5. Honestly, it's just like, oh my God, I'm just so, but you do what you have to do. But I do feel like our steps are ordered,
Yeah.
and when we get the call, we gotta go.
I love it. I love it. Talk about what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? And I say that because one of the things I think is a little bit dangerous, and I'll be honest with you, early in my business, I kind of fell victim to it, with social media. Like everybody's, they're bossing up, they're six figuring this, and they just started yesterday and they already. And so for a while, I'm just being honest.
Yes,
If I'm
yes,
nothing else, I'm honest, right?
yes.
And for a while, I was like, I call them mind monsters because I'm a mindset coach. And the mind monsters was just like, you're not doing it right. You're never going to succeed. You're not making. And my husband was like, Kanisha, first of all, you don't even know if those people are making that money. And second of all, you got to walk your journey. And so it's a
Mhm.
constant reminder, right? So talk a little bit about that. How do you manage either your mind monsters or the comparison or the, social media highlights of other people's world while you have to walk out the process of being an entrepreneur?
Yes, that's definitely a tough thing, and I know that I tell my kids this all the time because they definitely fall victim to it a lot more than I think our age does. Even though I think because of social media, we do start to compare, like especially from our business standpoint.
Mhm.
But even in just life, they'll see people just every weekend they're off and they're on trips, and the kids are in their early 20s and they're just like, I don't think I'm doing enough. I'm not far enough ahead in life. And I'm just like, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. You're doing good. You're where you're supposed to be. And it's like that for business too. You're
Yeah.
where you're supposed to be. And only you can change where you are. And sometimes, the money, whatever business you're in there, you may not ever hit that 6 figure
Mhm.
mark. I know that's the goal, but you probably would have to change your business structure. You might have to, you know, put more systems into place. But, those are the things you're going to have to do to get that higher money. You know, those are the ways we have to think about it. Social media would trick us,
Yes.
and have us thinking that we're never doing enough.
Yeah.
Um, I know that when I first started doing the credit repair portion, they were making like millions of dollars out there. And, when I first started out, I had like 20 clients. And I was like, oh my God, how they, I got 20 clients and I'm struggling, you know, just keeping up with that. Like, how are they maintaining that many clients? And then later on, you realize that some of them are scamming,
Mhm.
and then some of them are really making the money, but they have to put a lot of work, and they've been working at it for 10 years, and
Yeah.
you're just starting out, and you think that that just because they tell you to start and you can make this money, they don't tell you all the things that you have to go through in order to make that type of money and be able to maintain, because it's a lot to maintain with that money and status. um go back to my compliance type of, I have to think about like all the things that you have to put into place in order to make that happen and to maintain. Um, So that's how I look at it a lot of times. I'm going through social media too, looking at the pictures, looking at the videos, and just like, ah. And then I have to talk to myself and say, hey,
Yeah.
you are you.
Yeah.
And you have to walk your walk and let them walk theirs. And we may get there at the same time.
Yeah.
So
That's right. Yeah. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine. She's also a coach. She left counseling therapy to go into coaching. And a couple of different conversations we had. One time we was talking about how before we was coaches was like we didn't make six figures, right? So we started celebrating, yo, if I'm making what I used to make and I get to take a nap in the middle of the day because
yeah.
I'm working for myself, I'm winning, right? It's like it's Tuesday and I'm taking a nap in the middle of the day. And then another thing she said that I thought was super powerful, she said, Kanisha, people talk a lot about, this coaching and getting online and making money. She said they'll tell you how much you can make, but they don't tell you how much you have to spend in those ads to get
Mhm.
those clients. And I said, girl, say that louder because I think like we have to be so careful not to glamorize life because I was saying to my husband this morning, like life be lifing. And
Yes.
there is no, I think growing up, I used to think there was some special place I was trying to get where there were butterflies and rainbows at all times.
Right.
That didn't exist. There's no real heaven on earth, right?
No.
You can
No.
have like moments, glimpses of, oh my God, this is so good. But we weren't meant to have every day we're full of like all that heaven has to offer here.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I share these little stories because as a woman is watching and she's maybe thinking about starting her business, or maybe she's in her business and she's having these moments where she's feeling like everybody else is way far ahead of me. Everybody else is, life is so good. I want to talk about these things to keep them encouraged, to keep them going.
Yeah. Last year, I literally felt like I was gonna shut down my business.
Mm,
Um, my mom, I became her almost her full-time caretaker, trying to run the business. My granddaughter, I was helping my son out with my granddaughter. I felt like I was overwhelmed. Like it was a lot. And my mom ended up passing in August. And I
uh,
actually had to take like a almost a shutdown month,
mm,
literally just to get my bearings back on everything, and then I took another month and just tried to get my business back in order because you don't realize how much your personal life can take a toll on your business.
yes.
I had great clients, everybody was understanding, but I think I was harder on myself because I felt like, oh my God, I let all this happen. I wasn't in control. And a lot of times I think we feel like we got to be in control of everything.
Yeah.
And it was a tough period. It was a tough year. My daughter, I felt like she took her business took a hit also because she was basically helping me um with my mom and with my business and with her business. So we were all just, I think we were just existing in that business space.
Mm,
Um and we have to learn that we can't do it all.
that's right.
We can't do it all. And even though business is tough, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
And you may not be where you feel like you need to be. Um, but if you keep going, you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't take like a big hit in revenue or anything like that. It was just I felt like I let down my clients. I felt like I let down my customers. Um, and so I think a lot of times we're harder on ourselves
Extreme.
than anyone else is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we just have to give ourselves a break in that entrepreneur space because this is not easy. This is not for the faint at heart. I don't care. I don't care if you are making seven figures, eight figures. It is not for the faint at heart.
Yeah.
And so definitely if you're not there yet or you're not where you feel like you want to be, then definitely, because I have a lot of clients right now who are in the I want to say the personal service space, like salon owners,
Okay.
um, nail techs, and it's really slow for them, and they're really struggling, and they're stressed out, and they'll come to me and be like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go get a job, and I was just like, you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
You got to keep going. Everybody's goes through a phase, a period, and so
Mhm.
you just have to keep going. And I think that's the most important part. If you love it and this is something you want to do, you can't allow setbacks to stop you, because life is gonna life, like you said, it's going to. There's
Us.
gonna be some struggles in those struggles, okay? That's
Yeah.
what it's gonna be.
Yeah. I was joking the other day and I said to my daughter, I said, "Oh, I wish there was a pause button, when things get hard, but they're not." And I again just wanted to encourage the ladies, like, listen,
Yes.
keep pushing and know that be understand that life is valleys and whole like hills. Like there is, I remember again thinking, like, Lord, when am I gonna just be at the peak? And he like, girl, the peak is small for a reason. You only get to stand up for 2 minutes. You got
And somebody gonna push you off that peak and you coming
yeah,
back down. So you might be top dog this week, and then 2 months later
yeah,
somebody comes and they're at the peak. So,
yeah.
what they say, what's for you is for you at that moment. But everybody has their own season.
Absolutely.
So it may not be your season just yet.
Yeah.
So, but when your season comes, celebrate it
And
and
you know,
just compare.
yeah, and I have to learn and I teach my clients, take time to celebrate the small wins.
Yes.
Like literally today, when I told you how earlier before when we started, how I had to build this whole like how to buy my shirts online because this was just something I thought, when I go out to these events and sell my books, it'd be cute to have a shirt to go with it, right? But
Yes.
then I pop it online and people are like, hey, how do I get it? I was like, oh. Size. What color you want? And I thought, Kanisha, you have to do better. But I literally spent the last few hours and I did it and I felt so accomplished. And I
Right.
was sitting in my chair like this, like, yes. And my husband was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm good. I'm because he's getting his master's. So I mean his doctorate. So he's over there like this, right? And I'm over here.
You're disturbing his peace.
Yeah, we have to learn to just celebrate our wins,
You
even
do.
little ones of learning something new, or overcoming the thing you thought was a challenge. Well,
Yeah.
maybe the outside world don't see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about the entrepreneurship is about who you are becoming.
And it does make you become a different person.
Mhm.
Um, we used to at home we used to talk about like sports because both my sons play football. So all we used to talk about all the time before we became business owners was sports. But now it seems like when we go in, when we have talks and everything else, we still talk about football, like, Super Bowl night. So,
Right.
we still talk about football, but then it's like we'll talk about what the business is doing, how
Yeah.
the business is doing. So the conversations change when I meet with my friends, and that's the main topic of conversation. Sometimes my office becomes, on Fridays, everybody will stop by and we just sitting around and we're talking about like business is doing, and have a couple laughs, but it becomes the center of your world. It's like my dining room table all over again. So,
That's
it's just consuming, all consuming sometimes, and you'll find yourself just talking about it randomly, and everybody else is like, "Oh, brother."
it
But I
really
but I
is.
love it. So it's hard. It's my baby.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to not nurture it. So
And I totally understand that. I have recently had an opportunity where I have a marketing company. They wanted to work with me to market the books and even my speaking. And I think it took them like 3 months to convince me between them and my husband. And everybody's like, what is your problem? Like, I was just, because it's like you said, it's my baby.
yes.
And I'm going, well, girl, you need the help. Right. And so finally I was able to relinquish and take my hands off. But it's such a challenge to even, you talk about your daughter being a virtual assistant. It's so hard for me to take my hands off, but if I'm back here trying to drive all of those little things, I
Yes.
can't accomplish the stuff that I need to accomplish to grow the business.
Yeah, you gotta build a team.
You have
You
to.
gotta, you literally have to build a team. And I'm a control freak. So that was the hardest thing for me to do, was to give away tasks, become that delegator. Being a mom, I thought that would be easy.
Right.
But it wasn't. It wasn't. It's just like letting somebody babysit your newborn for the first time. You have a whole list of things that you don't want them to do, what they can't do, and then you even checking on them with that, to the point you just taking the baby back.
That's right.
So that's
Yes.
how. Yeah, that's how I say that um being a entrepreneur mom
Yeah.
is, because we take that nurturing spirit like with the kids and put it into our business. And so it's hard. It's really hard
Yeah.
to relinquish those things. But in order for the business to grow, we have to.
You have to.
We
Yeah.
can't do all the tasks. We have to fire ourselves out of from each task and give it to somebody else.
Yeah,
So
and I promise you, had you asked me before I was running a business if I was a control freak, I'm like, absolutely not. I'm good with the flow,
mhm.
whatever, let it go. And a lot of my friends were like, oh my God, Kanisha, you, when I started doing this, and particularly because my background is in graphic design, when
Oh,
I would hire different people to do, like one time I had a social media assistant. She's like, oh, I'll lay out your ebook for you. And when she finished that thing, I said, please don't be mad or in your feelings, or if you want to be in your feelings, like I'll walk you through one of my programs, but I'm going to change that. And she was like, I said, like, it's me and I need some emotional healing in this area. Oh, I'm going to change that because I can't have anything out that looks like that with my name on it. And she was just like, what's wrong with that? I can fix it. I said, but you can't. And it's not you, it's me.
yes,
And my
yes.
husband was like, really? You gonna spend all those hours? I was like, listen, I didn't like the way that thing looked. So it's so important to learn how to let it go.
Yeah, take your hands off. Take the hands off the steering wheel. It's hard because it's scary.
It is.
It's literally like taking your hands off the steering wheel and
Mm,
letting somebody else drive the car. It's hard.
yeah. So I always like to ask this question right at the end of the call, the interview. What is a book that either you read in the past that fully changed everything? And I know, I'm assuming you're a God girl. I call myself a God girl. So I know the Bible, but I'm talking about what was that book that helped you shift in your either your business or in your personal life so that you could do your business?
I think Rich Man, Poor Man.
Mm, that was a big game changer.
Rich Man, Poor Man. I didn't realize how much of a difference of handling money, how much an issue handling money was until you come to a business and you have to separate everything. And then from a compliance standpoint, I would feel like that would be easy for me, but it was very difficult. And and I had to dive deep into finances.
Mm,
And one of my friends said, you should read Rich Man, Poor Man. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I was
yeah.
like, okay, okay. I'm gonna read it. And it still took me about a year to get to it. And then when I read it, I understood
Mm,
that we handle finances very differently. And like we said, social media, we look at all those people who supposedly have money,
right.
and we always figure that they're more well off than others. But it's the way we handle what we have
Yeah.
is what matters in the end. And so it made me become more frugal than I once had been. It made me think about money before I spend it. It
Mm,
made me think about in personal life and in business. It made me make better choices financially for my family and myself and my business. So I think that definitely helped me evolve financially,
yeah.
and it also helped with my business as well.
Mm,
Because once I learned how to handle my personal money, better in a sense that, you don't have to, you know, I think the status symbols, we get caught up in those. And so, you have to learn that that's not what's important at the end of the day. The most important thing is having something for later,
yeah.
show for your hard work. It's no need to do all of this if you have nothing at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
so that's what actually changed my life as a business owner and personally. So that I feel like everyone should read that book, um, because it would definitely give you something to at least think about for finances. So, and that's kind of my realm. So that's always my TED talk. So,
Well, I love it. I love it. And now, actually, you're gonna have me go reread the book. I read it years ago, and I can't even say I finished it because I will be honest with you. I don't think back then I was emotionally mature to handle what was in that book. And I
Yeah,
was,
sometimes we're not.
yeah, I was driving today and I thought, oh, I need a new book because I typically audio my books. And so now I'm going to go get that one. So thank you. This is why I always ask that question,
Yes.
um, because I know as an entrepreneur, and particularly a solo entrepreneur, the more we read, the more information we can take in, how much it can shift and change everything in our world. So I want to
Mhm.
say thank you so much for coming on,
Thank
taking
you.
time to be here with me. And guys, like, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you click on the links if you are ready to start that business and you need those procedures. I want to make sure that you reach out to Malisha. Like this lady right here, she's the one who can help you. If you're the sister over there where you have the business and your mind has it so that you're not moving the needle, or it's you just know you're dealing with these mind monsters and you want some strategies on that, feel free to reach out to me at
Mhm.
berrythoughtfullife.com. And guys, and Malisha, this is for you too. This Saturday, the 17th, I'm hosting an event called Bubbles and Business with my friend Jet here in Rocky Mount.
Okay.
I would love for you to come. It's a women's networking event. And the last time we had it, which was the very first one in January, we had 3 women to link up and start doing business together. So that's what we're trying to create. We're trying to create an environment where women are talking to women about business. And then now when you're passing your business on, you're doing it with another female entrepreneur. And we're all working together to build something amazing.
Love it.
Awesome. So thank you
I
guys.
was
Have a great night.